welcome to Community Conversations. I'm your host, KK Kaneshiro. The issue of bullying remains a concern to students and families in schools throughout the United States. Despite greater awareness of the problem, studies that show that 30% of the students in grades 6th through 10th grade are involved in bullying as either the bully, the victim, or both. A number of programs have been created to deal with this issue of bullying, but a new campaign in the Fremont Unified School District is looking beyond bullying in effect to bring kindness and compassion to its schools. And with us to talk about this very special program and their new movement is Grimmer Elementary School Principal Judy Nye and Behavioral Intervention Specialist Ann Glanker. Am I saying that right?
At Glankler.
Oh, at Glanker. Can you
It's Ann Toft.
Ann Toft. Okay, and then a special guest. You want to introduce yourself?
Hi, I'm Brendan Wu. I'm currently a sophomore at Mission San Jose High School.
Perfect. And of course, our favorite co-host, Dr. Jim Morris. Thank you so much for being here. And I apologize, your name was not on the teleprompter.
Oh, no worries.
Okay. So, first of all, we know bullying is a humongous issue everywhere. Okay, so what made you think of this program and how did you develop this program? Did it come from parents? Did it come from the teachers? Did it come from your students? How did this all come about?
Well, I think it came from two places at once, and I'll let Ann talk a little bit about the idea of the positivity piece of it. But a lot of it came from our student leadership. We had sent a large group from our school district last year to an anti-bullying conference. And the group, especially the students who went and the staff members, said just saying to kids, don't bully, is a very, very ineffective way of saying this is an anti-bullying campaign.
Right.
One of the things that we know in our school district is we have amazing, amazing students who are so often kind and compassionate and do really good stuff. Then Ann came up with the next part of the idea, and I'll let her kind of tell that story of how it came to, let's look for a way to recognize and acknowledge the good things that kids are doing. Instead of telling kids, don't do it, don't do it, don't do it.
Right. And I like how you got the kids involved with the conference because now they own it, right? They're part of the solution.
Yeah.
So tell us how you got this started.
Well, this wasn't my idea totally, to be honest. There's a group out of Virginia Tech that's doing the same thing but with adults. So they're promoting kindness on campus and then it spread out into the community.
Okay.
So I spoke to Dr. Morris about it and we said, well, wouldn't it be great to bring it to school kids?
And then how did you implement it?
Well, then the synergy happened because it's going to bounce over to Grimmer Elementary, which has been working really hard on some of these issues. And I'll let Ms. Nye talk about it.
We started our anti-bullying campaign, and at that time it was an anti-bullying campaign, about 5 years ago, after a very serious incident. But over the course of the last 3 or 4 years, it's turned into a kindness council because the students themselves realized that they wanted to be able to figure out how they could solve this problem in a positive way. So it's turned into the Kindness Council. And then over the summer, I got involved with a group of Fremont residents that are called Compassionate Fremont.
Yes.
So I emailed Dr. Morris about the same time or a little after Ann and said, how can we get this compassion movement going with our students so that for my own personal reasons at Grimmer, it could turn into more than just at our community, but go outside further to the greater community.
Right.
So that was the second piece of it.
Okay, now Ann.
So we brought all these pieces together, right, and said, okay, what's the idea? How can we acknowledge and recognize students who really are kind and compassionate? Then we went to our student group, and the student group said, Brendan?
Right, so I'm currently Mission San Jose's representative on the Surfboard, the Students United representatives for the school board.
Right.
And when I first heard of this idea, I was ecstatic. I absolutely support it. And just to bring a little bit of a story into this, I remember my dad telling me actually a long time before high school that the real challenge of high school isn't so much of the grades, but it has more to do with the peer pressure.
Yes.
And once you are able to look at that and assess it and deal with the peer pressure, really the rest of it comes together. And you know, especially as a freshman last year and a sophomore this year, I could say that as a teenager with our raging hormones and peer pressure, it's honestly almost a recipe for disaster. But you know, with that being said, I think that as teenagers and as kids and students, we are always looking for and yearning for a solution to our problems, and what is the right thing for us to do. And as Dr. Morris mentioned, I feel like we are oftentimes told and bombarded with comments as to what not to do.
Right.
And when I first heard of this program, I honestly thought, this is perfect. It's heading in the correct direction in that we're promoting better actions to help to create this community of positivity and kindness for all of these people in our district. Yep.
Now, Anne, when you first got this idea and you went to Dr. Morse about this, then did you go to the school board? Is that how Brandon got involved? Or I'm not sure how the process worked. Or did you have a meeting with all the principals and Judy was the one that said, I'll do it? Or how did this work?
Well, I was invited to the meeting, so you organized the meeting.
Okay.
Yeah. So really what happened was, so the idea that came out of this actively caring for people, which is the Virginia Tech version, is, they have these silicone bracelets, right, that are individually numbered. I happened to do something nice, just one time in my life, and Anne gave me one of those bracelets. And I was fascinated by it because the idea was, you're supposed to, each one is individually numbered.
Yeah.
And so you're supposed to be looking for that act of caring and pass it on to someone else.
Oh.
And so
he doesn't keep the bracelet. When he recognizes somebody, I love that.
So that was what we decided. Let's come up with the Fremont version of that.
Okay.
So we didn't go to the school board, but we went to one of our former school board members, Ivy Wu, and said, we need some money. We want to order 10,000 of these bracelets, individually numbered.
Yeah.
Create a website so that we'll have these bracelets that will travel around the community. That when you recognize some act of kindness or compassion, you log on to the website, you look up bracelet 0001, you write the story. I gave bracelet 001 to KK Kaneshiro because she helped me with my algebra homework.
Yeah. I'd love to see this website 10 years from now.
Yeah, that's right. And these bracelets traveling around and going from students to adults and adults to students. And so we called this little group together of really bright, caring, compassionate people. And it was some people who'd gone to the conference last year. And I think that the first meeting there were about 5 or 6 of us. In the next meeting about 10 or 15 of us. And the group's just grown. Because it's such a cool idea.
Yeah. Now, Judy, did it start with her school, and is it expanding to all of our other schools in the Fremont Unified, or how's this working?
It hasn't started yet. But
this is brand new.
I introduced it to the elementary principals last week, so that we can make sure that we're all doing it. They understand what it is, and we explain the bracelet idea. And we're excited at our school to start.
Okay.
And so it will be at all of our schools throughout the district. Around November 1st is going to be our launch date.
Okay.
And some of the teachers and some of the students are going to volunteer to be the ones who start off the bracelets.
Okay, good.
And we're just going to see what happens.
That's great. Let it morph on its own. Now, Anne, do you work here at the school district, or do you work at a school site, or how do you fit in here?
I do work for the school district. I am the behavior specialist that supports Glankler Early Learning Center.
Okay.
And also the director of the Autism Resource Center.
Okay, so you have people that you can also give the bracelets out to help start this.
Absolutely. Yes, I'm hopeful that the preschoolers will get involved.
Yes, that'd be fun. Is the bracelet too big for them though?
We ordered them in multiple sizes.
Okay, good.
We ordered them in multiple
It
sizes.
fell off.
And the idea really is that, sometimes a student may give it to an adult in the community. It doesn't, we're not trying to keep it within the school district. We're just trying to see what's the impact of just acknowledging good in other people.
Right.
It's you know, we're not expecting to save the world with this, but we're really expecting
I think you
to
should.
Dream big.
Great idea.
yeah.
So, Brandon, when you spoke to the surf
Yes.
advisory board, what did they think? Were they for this as well? Did they think the same way you did, or was this well received?
Right. So when it was first brought up to the surfboard and we started discussing it, I think the wide majority of students definitely agreed on how successful of an idea this would be. And you know, we went through a little bit of the process as to what the bands would look like, what the design would look like on
good.
there as well.
Yeah.
Because it got to
And-
be cool.
Right, exactly. And I mean, especially for something that I feel students would want to wear
Right.
every day in their lives, it has to be cool, like you said, and it has to be applicable not only to our purposes, but also to their everyday lives. And if I could say something just a little
Please.
bit perhaps about the success of such a program, I actually have experience with a very similar program. When I was the 8th grade president at Hopkins, I actually founded the Keep Calm and Hawk On program. And essentially what we did there is we founded this culture and this community of good and kindness. And we did this through a very similar method. We started out by passing buttons that had Keep Calm and Hawk On at our school games and at specific areas and specific events where kids would show up and show their school spirit. And since then, it's really grown. We've actually implemented a wristband aspect to it now. And we have these wristbands being passed out for individual attributes that students show.
Wow.
And this ranges from kindness to assertiveness to wisdom. And since then, I think it's really had an impact on just changing that atmosphere at school and letting kids know that really there are other people out there who share that same idea of kindness and who
Right.
share that same idea of compassion for others.
A way of
And,
life.
Definitely, yep.
So I know the launch date's not here yet, but can you divulge the color or the look of it, or is that top secret?
As far as the surfboard knows, and as far as what we voted on so far, we've taken a look at it, and we decided that it would be a color that sticks more to gray and greenish, a little bit like that. So nothing too flashy. Definitely
Yes.
something I think a lot of people would appreciate, and a lot of people would be able to wear.
And the reason we went with the kind of silvery gray is because it's not the school color of any of
Anybody,
our
right.
schools.
As well.
Right.
And that was
Very
that
smart.
was yeah, that was a big debate and
Right,
issue.
right.
And then the students argued and debated and talked for hours about what it should say on the band, and they decided
We decided that it would be promoting positivity.
Nice.
And really, I think what we've been talking about in those meetings and here so far is that we're just trying to find a new way to promote this idea of sensitivity, of empathy, and of sympathy for others. And really, I guess it says it in the name itself.
Yes.
That is our main goal.
I would
and
have
that's our
loved to have been in
mission.
that room when they were debating that.
it was a great atmosphere, I could say that.
Wow. How many kids are on the surfboard?
We currently have around 18 kids,
Okay.
and we're looking at right now, the members may increase as well in the future, but it's around that number.
Okay. So when the bracelets come in, you're doing your big launch. Are the bracelets delivered to the student body or the principal, or how's that going to roll out?
so it will be a little bit of both.
Okay.
The principals, particularly at the elementary schools, will work maybe with student leadership and some of their teachers.
Okay.
We're not, our idea is not to say to every teacher, you must give out 3.
Yeah.
That's not the idea, because we're really looking to have this be something where
Genuine.
people really want to do it and want to get involved. And quite honestly, there's going to be some people like me, like when I got my wristband, I wanted to wear it as a trophy for a while and keep it. And I was really looking for
That's
somebody
not the point.
really special to give it away to, because I valued it so much
Yeah.
that I probably kept it for about 2 months before I gave it away, because you had to do a lot to earn that from me.
And I think that's going to be a big component with the elementary folk,
Yeah.
the children, because they're going to want to keep it. So there's going to have to be some kind of an educational piece
Yes.
to it. And
Yeah.
then we at Grimmer at least are going to have our older students work with the younger
Oh,
students
nice.
on it.
And the really nice thing is, because you'll be able to look on the website,
Right.
you'll be able to track it by number. The web address for the
Right.
website is on the inside of each band, and it just and the number. And so the nice thing is they will have a story. So it will be adults, it will be student leaders at our secondary school. Some of our clubs have gotten involved and want to be the ones to start them off.
Yeah.
Because the idea is, once we get 10,000 out there,
That's it.
that's it.
Let it
and
grow.
and then all the adult work is done. It's let's see how long they last, and you
Yeah.
know, if somebody one ends up in
Michigan.
New York, or next time Brendan goes to the White House, he
There
can
you
give it to the president for us,
There you go.
or
Kate, I have one major question here. Parents, are you going to educate the parents prior to this so they understand it's not a cult or anything bad,
Yeah.
that they understand the whole premise of this new program? How's this going to be rolled out to the parents?
so we're going to talk about it on Community Conversations.
Good. Step one.
That's
Right.
one. And we have written something for our principals to put in their newsletter.
Oh, good. Okay.
So that they can let the parents know.
And
Some-
School Loop?
And send out at the secondary level through School Loop.
Okay.
Because you're right, exactly that. We want parents to know it's a really good thing. I've gone
Right.
to our PTA council meeting
Okay,
to
good.
talk to the parents about it at the council meeting, so that they'll through the PTA
Right.
have that communication going out. Because we really want parents, if your child receives one of those bracelets, to be really proud of them.
'Cause that is a
this
trophy.
is a coveted just demonstration of somebody doing something really wonderful for another person.
Right. Now, it would be very interesting, hint, hint, producer, if we could recap the show in 6 months, a year from now, to see how it organically grew.
Yeah.
Don't you think?
That'd be
Absolutely.
amazing. Yeah.
Because this is marvelous. I wish I
And the
was
nice
back in
thing
school.
is, I don't know of another school district that's tried to do something this ambitious district-wide. But I think, as Mrs. Nice said, it really is about when you look at the uniqueness of Fremont, the folks in our community really value not just high levels of academic achievement for students, but helping to raise healthy,
Well-rounded.
well-rounded young people.
Yes. Now, because you're a sophomore now, and you are technically in high school,
Yes.
you've had, 10 years of your school career so far behind you. Have you experienced any bullying?
Well, that's a very good question. I think that every student, in some form or another, has experienced that type of bullying, and I think that whether or not it be in groups, for example, for group projects, stuff like that, or groups when we're playing sports and stuff like that, I think I could definitely relate, just like many other students. And I think coming from that experience, that's what really allows, for example, for me and for a lot of the other people who are involved in this effort, to connect to the audience that they're trying to get to and trying to appeal to with this project. And I think something else that is quite interesting about the audience that you could project this to is that kids want to see someone who is wearing this bracelet perhaps as a role model. And I think by wearing a bracelet like this, it definitely portrays that image of someone as a role model, someone perhaps who has experienced bullying and been able to fight that, or been able to help someone else in that situation. And something that I observed throughout my school years is that a very important audience for this perhaps would be athletes. And I think a lot of students in our schools look up to athletes, you know, as people who are not only very responsible and able to manage their time, but just great at what they love to do.
Right.
And based off of that, perhaps, you know, that is something that we could look to in the future as to who we could pass these wristbands out to as well.
You are phenomenal. I have to tell you that.
Oh,
And I
thank you.
commend you and applaud you on this wonderful program. I really want to see it in a year, and I want to see it in 10 years from now, all the little notes that everyone put on the website regarding their bracelet number. I think that's fabulous.
And we can't wait till someone in the community sees you
I'm
doing
waiting,
an act
I'm
of
waiting.
kindness and
Right.
compassion.
I will do my best. But thank you so much for being on the show. And from everyone here at Community Conversations, we appreciate you watching, and we'll see you next time. Thank you.